Good evening. Thank you for being here with us tonight for some much appreciated guidance in dressing our best for our bodies as they change. We have three amazing experts here with us tonight, but before we dive in, I want to share some housekeeping items. First, thank you so much to our sponsors for this evening's program, Daiichi Sankyo and Merck. You were muted as you entered today's program. Please stay on mute so that we can clearly hear the presenters and the questions that are being asked. As always, this program is being recorded and no faces or names will show on the recording other than those of the presenters. But if you wish to turn your video off for privacy now, you have the option to do so. Also, on the bottom left of your screen, you can also choose to rename yourself. And if you prefer to remain anonymous, you can do that by clicking on the three dots on the top right of your photo square. We also have closed captioning available. Instructions on how to access that are in the chat box right now. As you know, tonight's webinar format is a bit different than usual. Our presenters will each speak very briefly to provide an overview of their specific fashion and fitting expertise. Then there will be ample time to answer all of your questions. Third grader saying, quote, can we please stay on mute? If you don't like my ruling, you don't say geez. Can we please put everybody on mute? Thank you. Then there will be ample time to answer all your questions. Consider this program your own fashion consultation to feel more comfortable in your body as it changes. Many of you submitted questions when you registered, and thank you. But there is still plenty of time to ask questions. Please place any questions you have in the chat box. You can begin by doing that now or as they arise throughout the evening. To send a question or comment anonymously in the chat box, please click on the button that says everyone and select Melissa Rose and Sharsheret. Your message will only be visible to me, and then it will be asked anonymously. Let's dive in now. Honestly, there is so much that is complicated about the cancer experience. Dressing for your changed body should not be one of those things that is complicated. Joining us first this evening is Sharsheret caller Jan. She's going to share a bit of her personal experience with her changing body and style. So Jan, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I first learned about Sharsheret in 2016 when I had my first breast cancer, and I've been so grateful, so thank you. I live in Florida, and I'm currently in treatment for metastatic triple-negative breast cancer, and the good news is I recently scanned stable. But 5 years after having hormone-positive breast cancer, a lumpectomy, and a radiation, I was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer in the other breast. So I had the lumpectomy, radiation, chemo, clean PET, thought I was done. 4 months ago, I had a recurrence in the same breast. Before the second lumpectomy, I had interviewed a plastic surgeon to decide if I had a recurrence, I decided actually that time, if I had a recurrence, I would get a double mastectomy with a flat closure from my surgeon and not have a reconstruction. I didn't know anything about aesthetic flat closures until later. That was too bad. But this was a recurrence. I was 66. I didn't want an extremely long, complicated situation with multiple operations for reconstructions. I didn't feel the need for that, and I wanted the shortest, simplest operation with the easiest recovery time. I still had drains though, and it was the right decision. And then there was the option of breast prosthetics. The surgeon gave me a prescription just like that. I got them, but I've only worn them once. I just, emotionally and physically, I haven't been comfortable with that. They feel cold and uncomfortable, and I just couldn't, I like the freedom of not wearing a bra, I have to say, that I couldn't do before. So I still have them. They're in my closet, just in case. And you know, the dressing poses other challenges. High round necklines that used to work fine with breasts don't work so well without breasts because they don't shape right. They bind. cross-chest dresses don't work, they gap. So, and the clothes don't work so right. So I read, oh, you should wear shirts and dresses with ruffles. I never wore ruffles before. Or other kinds of scoop necklines. And so, or I wear a scarf or a shawl sometimes, or a sweater or a jacket. Try to balance it out. We all need, we need all kinds of support when we're going through this traumatic and courageous body change. I felt I was more than my surgical procedures. I needed a ritual to honor my body, to honor losing my breasts and the upcoming surgery. So I went to the ocean and I did a dunking ritual, a creative mikvah, if you will. 3 dunks. I took the opportunity to acknowledge the grief of physical loss and release this part of my body with gratitude and focus on healing for the future. Also, I want to talk about hair for just a second. After approximately 14 days on chemo, my experience is that my hair falls out or begins to fall out. So I would go and I would have it shaved because that was a way of taking control of an out of control situation. And I could take quicker showers and blow drying. So I wear hats and I wear scarves and I match my clothes and I'm sometimes surprised or caught unawares by comments I receive on my matching outfits. I benefit from so many sources of mental, emotional, and physical support: exercise classes, acupuncture, psychotherapy, lymphedema therapist, singing, spiritual community, oncology team, and most of all, family and friends. So I just want to say again, thank you to Sharsheret and the corporate and the individual funders and donors who make this possible. And I really look forward to hearing all the experts tonight to get some new tips. Thank you so much.
Jan, thank you. It's always, excuse me, it's always great to hear from someone who's been there. It's really reassuring. So we're so grateful that you could share your story, a bit of your story with us tonight and sort of set up the content for tonight. Tonight we have with us Linda Hirsch, Sonia Keshwani, and Adina Frankel. We're going to hear from each of them briefly, and then we'll get to your questions. So I'm bringing on first Linda. Linda brings over 3 decades of expertise as a certified mastectomy fitter, dedicating herself to supporting women through their journey of post-mastectomy care. Her commitment to empowering women led her to play a pivotal role in establishing the boutique at the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center Breast Health Services building. There, Linda oversees a unique haven offering comprehensive support to women facing the challenges of breast cancer. As an expert fitter, she adeptly guides women through pre- and post-surgery needs, ensuring they find the right garments and the products they need to feel comfortable and confident throughout their recovery. For Linda, this work is more than a profession. It's a passion deeply rooted in her desire to uplift and validate the experiences of women during a pivotal time in their lives. She believes that feeling good about one's appearance is intrinsically linked to psychological well-being and strives to empower women by affirming the importance of their feelings and their needs. Linda, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much. It's a real honor. And like you had said, I really enjoy what I do. And the older I get, I have a greater appreciation. I was asked to join Cedars during the pandemic. I had quit work at another place during the pandemic. And I had this opportunity to open this boutique, which was a blank space, and I filled it with all the things that I do and sell and share my experiences. What I do notice, I worked in a place 15 miles from here in the valley, and I don't know who's from what part of the country, but the difference in the surgeries between 15 miles and being in town in Beverly Hills is quite a difference. And the surgeries have changed so much in the 30 years since I've been working and doing this. There was a lot more mastectomies, just a uni breast, just taking one breast and leaving the other. There wasn't reconstruction like there is today. There wasn't the technology of the micro vessel surgeries where they take it from the deep flap and reform and make their own breasts. And where I am, I really notice that they do a lot of bilateral with reconstruction. So one of the things that happens is the first thing, the women come into me and they can't stand the bra that they're put in during surgery. And I carry quite an extensive selection of bras, and some seem to work really well. When they're in the surgery at the hospital, I work in a separate building, and they put them in their bras there, and the bras are kind of flayed open on the table, and the women come in, they're either too tight, too small, too this, too that. So I carry bras that are very comfortable. I just basically can fit them with the drains on, and just kind of put the bra underneath it, their breasts, so I'm not touching anything for them. And then if that's comfortable, there's no cup size. So that's much more comfortable for them. This way they have one to wash and one to wear, and it depends on the type of surgeries that they have and how long they're going to be in the bra. If it's a lumpectomy, it's generally 2 weeks. If it's a mastectomy or a deep flap, it's generally a month. And then these bras accommodate, if they are going through bilateral reconstruction with the expanders, they can have the CCs put in, and then the bra will accommodate. It doesn't come with a cup size. It's just a stretchy material. And then there's different kinds of forms that we can put in if it is a mastectomy and it's a unilateral. There's forms with batting in them where you can kind of fill them. They come in sizes. There's forms with, they're recycled, or I should say upcycled plastic bottles with bamboo covering. Very lightweight, they're cool. Older women sometimes don't want to have the silicone breast form. Then I have a weighted form that's also a temporary form, and then I have silicone forms. And there's a new silicone form that's been out a couple of years, and this is the only one I really carry, and it's half silicone and you pump air into the rest of it, and it's really phenomenal. They're lightweight, so if you're a big size coming up to like an 8, a 10, a 12, they don't have the weight of the form, and a lot of times women complain about the weight of the breast forms. It goes to the fitting. If you have a proper bra, and the law of physics is if you hold something out at arm's length, it's going to weigh heavier than if you hold it into yourself. So a proper fitting, a bra fitting, is really important. We're really getting away from underwires. I don't carry any underwires here. Most women have the wrong underwire. It's digging into their breast tissue. It's not going back far enough. And if you are going to wear an underwire, the underwire should at least come under your armpit or down that lateral line. I have an extensive variety of soft cup bras that everybody seems to like. And I don't know about the rest of the country here, but everybody's very casual in the way they dress them. They all want like a t-shirt bra where there's no seams, and the bra fits them perfectly. I call this is my magic bra, because even if they're a little asymmetrical and they've had radiation, sometimes the breast will swell up or it'll shrink down. It just depends. And this one bra works really well. Most insurance companies will pay for an asymmetrical prosthesis. There's balance forms to help balance it out. They all go into a pocketed bra. You don't necessarily have to wear a pocketed bra, but this way you're not taking a chance that something's going to move or shift or fall out, which is everybody's greatest fear. And then there's swim breasts, and then there's breast forms if you want to do Pilates and you don't want to wear a regular form. I have nipples that are silicone nipples if you've had reconstruction and you want to have that look, and you wear like not a t-shirt bra because those have a little padding, but if you're wearing a soft bra, might have a little peekaboo nipple, or if you have like one breast, you want a nipple on the other, especially if you're going with your clothes. And I'm sure Adina will talk about clothing. And clothing is really important. And I've been doing this for so long, and it's like, if you look good, you feel better. And it's very important to kind of feel good about how you look, even though this is your transition. One of the things I tell my ladies is, do not listen to anybody's stories, because nobody tells you the good stuff. They all tell you the horror stories. And it's the same with having children. You know, don't listen to all. I mean, that's my experience. I feel like I'm a psychologist a lot of times. And I kind of, the biggest thing is when they want to give me a hug at the end. I always hug everybody. I'm that kind of an ushy-gushy person. And people come in here and they feel very, very comfortable. It's not like a clinical place at all. It's very warm and Hamisha. And I love what I do, and I guess it comes across. And you know, I'm sure there's questions that I can help people with, and I would love to answer everybody's questions. So,
And some questions have come in as you've been speaking. So we are going to thank you for that. It was a great overview of what you do. And we've got plenty of questions coming, but first we're going to welcome to the screen Sonia Keshwani. Sonia is the founder of Style Esteem Wardrobe. She has an inspiring story of resilience and creativity. As a breast cancer survivor herself, she experienced the challenges of losing her hair to chemotherapy at the young age of 29. Frustrated with the limited options available for head coverings, she actually decided to take matters into her own hands and design her own solution. Being the creative person she is, she drew from her love of fashion and began visiting a fabric shop after each chemotherapy infusion and experimented with her mother's sewing machine. As her personal turban collection started to grow, so did her confidence as she regained her voice and power through this new passion. Inspired by the elegant and feminine silhouette of the turban, she made the bold move and launched Style Esteem Wardrobe, the first fashion label to design headwear according to the season and occasion. Some of her, I think she's going to show you some of her things. They are absolutely the height of fashion, as well as comfortable ones too. Sonia, thank you so much for being here, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you so much. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you so much for having me, Melissa. I'm really honored to be invited to speak with you all today. Like Melissa mentioned, my name is Sonia Keshwani, and I'm a young breast cancer survivor, and I'm the founder of Style Esteem. Style Esteem is a company where we make fashionable and one-of-a-kind headpieces and accessories for every season and occasion. So that means spring, summer, fall, winter, day wear, evening wear, lounge wear, active wear that has UV protection, all the way up to couture. But sitting here talking to you all 5 years out with the company, 6 years out with my cancer survivorship, the story of Style Esteem is really tied to my personal story as well. When I was going through chemotherapy and I lost all my hair at the young age of 29, I felt like there was this gap in the fashion industry where women like us didn't really have headwear options that felt fashionable while also feeling very inspiring and empowering. So with this idea of maybe creating my own solution, I decided to start visiting a fabric shop next to my infusion center after each round of chemo. And what started off as this ritual of relief, quite frankly, of going to the fabric shop after a day-long infusion turned into an experimentation, which then turned into a sort of personal collection of turbans that really gave me this sense of strong confidence and pride in my story. And it even helped me kind of write the next chapters of my story with my own pen, because I was able to take back my look. And for us women, that's such an important thing that I think no one really addressed for me at the time. my medical team was amazing, but this is one of those things that I feel like unless you've gone through hair loss, it's not something that you can ever really be prepared for in the right way. And so to that end, being able to take back my story through fashion and walk out the door every day with my head held high, no matter where that day took me, made a huge impact on my mental health and on my outlook. And that is something that I really wanted to share with other women. I wanted to give them that sort of same level of empowerment that I had in my journey. And so that's why I launched Stylist Steam. And with Stylist Steam, I think as you can see on my head and through these pictures, of course, like there's the fashion component of it where it's this, we want to sort of highlight beauty through style. But at the same time, a big goal of mine was to really try to change the narrative around beauty and cancer and how um, not just how society views us, but also how we view ourselves. And to that end, we've had the great privilege of sharing this idea of cancer and couture on the pages of iconic publications like Vogue magazine and similarly on the pages of publications that end up on the desks of doctors and oncologists who are our caretakers. And taking this kind of one step further, we also had the privilege to tell this same story at New York Fashion Week through our couture collection, which was a moment where we wanted to look back at the 4,000-year-long history of the turban and reimagine it through culture, geography, religion, and trends, and really remind ourselves that we too are part of fashion history. No matter why we put on a headpiece, it's really important to remember that your story matters and that you have that bit of royalty inside of you, and that whenever you put on your headpiece and go out, you are writing the next chapters of your own personal fashion history. And so to that end, we highlighted so many different forms of roots in our couture collection, including, and I wanted to highlight we honored the African culture, the Indian culture, and we even honored the Jewish culture with a couture tickle. And I wanted to just take a moment to show it to you because I think there's probably no one who would appreciate it more than you would. With like a beautiful brocade rose gold fabric, and I don't know if you can quite make it out, but there's like a diamond rose gold band, and this was a one of a kind piece that kind of was part of the tapestry of that collection. And it was kind of my honor to be able to create that and to tell the story of all of us who kind of walk our own path and wear the headpieces for whatever reason we wear them for. And so to that end, this idea of dressing with this pride in your story is definitely important, but getting to that point, a lot goes into it. In addition to this beauty of dressing through headwear, there was also something else that chemo taught me, and that is that it's about so much more than just your hair falling out of your follicles. Hair loss is a three-part journey, which is, before, during, and after chemotherapy. Before chemotherapy is kind of when you get your diagnosis and you learn that you may lose your hair to chemo. It's that journey of mentally processing what's going to happen to you, maybe acquiring the right products and the right headpieces and just kind of preparing yourself for that sort of emotional, spiritual, and mental journey along with the physical one. Then it's during chemo, which is when your hair may be thinning or falling out, and you may be looking for ways to cope with this and to nurture yourself through this process. And then finally, it's also about how you move forward from this experience with your hair growing back and searching for that new identity, how to talk to your hairstylist, how to dress for different lengths of hair. These are all things that I felt like I had a hard time finding during my journey. And so that was also really important to get input from experts, a lot like the women who are on this panel tonight, and to create content around thriving through your hair journey in one central place. And so that's really what our blog covers. It's what our social media covers. And so those are other places that I would encourage you to connect with me after tonight's event, so we can, make sure that you have all the information you need to kind of stay empowered through, not just through fashion, but also through self-care during this time. And so to that end, just going back to the beginning, these are my details. I really look forward to answering your questions and to sharing some more specific information. I want to be very careful to keep within my time, because I could kind of keep going on and on about fashion, but the most final and important thing is we've always had a special offer in partnership with Sharsheret. And so I just wanted to highlight that here. It's a special offer code for 20% off your order in case there's anyone who is in search of a headpiece. And if you have any questions or need help picking one out, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I do have to say that I was out and about today and saw someone wearing one of your pieces that I recognized from your
Oh,
website.
oh my gosh. Well, that's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Okay. I want to say that you've heard from Linda and you've heard from Sonia, and while neither one of them is a psychologist, they both talked about self-esteem and the importance of feeling good in what you're wearing and feeling like you look good. And it's a perfect segue to Adina. Adina Frankel has been working in fashion since college. While studying marketing at Stern College and the Fashion Institute of Technology, or FIT, she landed plum internships with Glamour magazine and Terry John. During her summer breaks, Adina interned at Joey and James Purse, and ultimately with Rachel Zoe. It was those experiences that cemented her desire to be a professional stylist. After graduating college, Adina worked for top Hollywood stylists, styling high-profile professionals, as well as developing their new clothing line called Miss Davenport. Adina's worked on syndicated television shows like Extra, dressing anchor Maria Menounos for her daily on-air appearances, as well as for red carpet events. In 2014, Adina started her own business styling celebrity clients for red carpets, commercials, and magazine editorials. Some of her clients include Grace Geely, Mayim Bialik, Tori DeVito, Us the Duo, Madeline Petch, and Chris Seafit, a mix of established and rising stars in the industry. Presently, Adina has a successful shopping business curating her clients' closets and wardrobes. And because fashion should be fun, even if it's dealing with the changes that cancer brings on, we wanted to bring Adina here to talk about fashion and to talk about shopping to fit your own body. Okay, Adina, please.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Basically, I just want to talk a little about what I do and how I started. From the time I was little, I always loved fashion. Would only wear dresses, like big ball gowns to birthday parties, to play sports. It made my parents crazy, but I just loved it. And as I got older, I continued to have a love for fashion. I luckily had an aunt in the industry who said you have to intern. So I had many internships in college. Rachel Zoe was all said there. And I got a great job after college working with celebrity stylists and dressing tons of celebrities, huge celebrities in the industry, and I loved it. I did that for about 5 years. I was an assistant. And then I had my first daughter, Ayla, and I just felt like it was too demanding to be an assistant. So I took a little time off and then went off on my own, styling more celebrities, which I enjoyed so much, but it was a lot of work, grueling business. And I did it for a few years. I still do it currently. But when COVID hit, someone reached out to me in the community and said, any chance you could dress me for an event, or I just need a new look. And I went right into it and I loved it so much. I love working with real people, real women. I do men too, but mostly women. My strength, I think, is creating a capsule wardrobe, almost like a uniform for my clients. I start in the closet. I edit probably usually 80 to 90%. I have all types of women reach out to me, people that recently gained some weight, lost weight, just had a baby, all kinds of, I deal with all kinds of body people, different things that they want to hide or highlight. And But generally I create these, I get rid of a lot of stuff in closets, and I then update with this like uniform that so that everyone could get dressed very easily and seamlessly without so many questions. Just, oh, this is what I need to wear, and transition from day to night looks. I believe less is more. And I just feel so good hearing from my clients, oh, you made me feel so pretty, or my husband loved my blouse, thank you. I feel like I'm really building their confidence. And I do believe that if you feel good in what you're wearing and getting dressed is easy, you just feel good about yourself. So I just love doing that for so many women, and it makes me happy.
There is definitely a theme here, and it's an important one. You know, sometimes we think, as I talk, I'm gonna bring everybody else back on. Sometimes we think, oh, fashion, it's frivolous, it's not so important, but I'm here to remind you that that is really not the case. That the way you feel about the way you look actually changes, the way you feel about yourself. And that is so important always, but especially during a cancer experience. So we have a ton of questions here, and we're going to get to as many as possible. And I think maybe I'll just go in order with who spoke. Okay, Linda, somebody actually put into the chat box while you were talking, and it's something I've never heard of before, and I wanted to make sure to ask the question. Stick-on prosthesis. They'd heard of it. Are they heavy? Is it real? Do we have access to them?
So they're called a contact form. And yes, they are available. It would depend on the type of surgery and what your chest wall looks like. It works better on a flat wall. If there's a lot of lumps or bumps or concavity, it's not going to work so much on that. You can wear them, and you can wear them without a bra, but if you get hot, they could come off. They could start to peel off a bit. And you have to wash them every night to get the DNA off of the silicone, that's the sticky part. And then as soon as it air dries, it gets very sticky again. So yes, they do make contact prosthesis, and it would depend on how your surgery site looks.
But if somebody is fortunate enough to be able to come to somebody like you,
Absolutely.
then you'll guide them in which is the most appropriate for them.
Exactly. In fact, I even had a transvestite who got his and loved them. So
Okay,
there you go.
there you go.
Wear them.
Sonia, I got a question that I personally felt resonated with me, and I would bet with a lot of people here. So someone said that when they were covering their head because of hair loss, they were wearing all different scarves, and they liked the fashion of it and wanted to continue wearing it for fashion reasons once their hair grew back, but they didn't really know how to style it with hair, and maybe it felt a little uncomfortable because they were now a survivor. And every time I see you, you're wearing, in all the pictures, you're wearing these beautiful head coverings with your hair. So can you talk a little bit about styling with hair, but also like how you came to decide you were going to continue covering even though your hair is back?
Well, quite frankly, I had never worn headpieces before cancer. My natural hair is very like big and curly, and so it just never was something that I tried out before. But since this experience, I truly love wearing them, and I feel underdressed when I'm not wearing one. And so that's why you always see me wearing one. But there's different things that you can do with your hair regrowth. And one of my favorite things to do to highlight my hair regrowth, which is kind of like that time when you maybe want to still dress up with headpieces, but you also want to show off the new hair. These type of, and I just have examples sitting next to me, so it's easier to show you. So there are some headpieces that are like solid color with like a little bit of a applique or a jewel in the back, or I guess normally you would wear this in the front, but what I would do is I would actually tie my hair the little ponytail, like a 2-inch little ponytail sticking out the back with like little ringlets. And I would wear this jewel on the back. So you would see a little ponytail coming out. And that was kind of like, in my way, was like giving a little spotlight to my cute little hair that was coming back. And so I really started to kind of use the same pieces that I had, but experiment with how I'm going to wear them. There's really a lot that you can do with even just one headpiece. And so either wearing those type of headpieces that you can play with the jewel, or also having something like a headband. This is a new style that's coming out soon, but as you can see, it's just a really long twilly that's been wrapped. And so you can kind of play around with it. I've also made rosettes with it. I have like a little brooch here. There's different things that you can do while your hair gets bigger and better, that your style can also kind of get bigger and better. I mean, there's really there's no end to it. And so I would recommend kind of finding new ways to wear what you already have, and doing it in a way where you're giving yourself a little bit of grace, a little bit of room to experiment, maybe get it wrong, but also get it right. And that's kind of important too, because I mean, cancer isn't cheap. And so you're not, you want to reuse the pieces. You want to have those items that you keep wearing and attach more positive memories to as well. So
Thank you. I like that. Adina, you mentioned when you presented that you were very used to helping people whose body had changed, whether they just had a baby or they've lost a lot of weight or they gained a lot of weight. That situation is similar to what almost everybody on this webinar is feeling, right? They were used to their body and even a little bit of weight loss, a little bit of weight gain, whatever it was, but all of a sudden now, either their breasts are a completely different shape and function a little bit differently in terms of how they lay, or maybe they've chosen not to reconstruct and do an aesthetic flat closure. And then or maybe it's a unilateral mastectomy. And the other thing, which we got a lot of comments on, is what is called in this space like sort of a poo belly, like if you don't have breasts to balance out, even the tiniest little bit of bloating looks much larger than it is. So those are just some of those things that some of the things that the women on tonight's webinar are trying to deal with. So what is your best advice in terms of, it's a two-part question. Let's start with a more general thing. What is your best advice to realizing that all of a sudden you need to change your wardrobe? From a financial point of view, from a fashion point of view, from a stamina, how can I possibly do this point of view?
Well, I think the good thing, the way I style, is less is more. So I really don't think women need a lot. I think that if you look in your closet in general, I guarantee you wear 20%, like you wear so few things. I have like a hanger trick that I'll say, turn your hanger in your closet every time you wear it. And you'll see after a year, like only like 10% is worn. So the good news is anyone that needs a wardrobe update, again, whether it's, because you had surgery, whatever it is, for whatever reason, people use me to update their style. So I would suggest buying a few really good key pieces. I always could work on a budget. For example, my favorite blazer, this is actually not a budget, but I love Zara, just as an example. It's like my favorite, very on trend, and they have all kinds of options. But I think blazers is a key piece for a woman that is going through body changes. It hides the stomach, because I like a loose fit blazer, but not too fitted. That's what's on trend right now. So Aritzia, here's a little quick tip I send to all my clients that hire me. There's this one blazer by Aritzia. I think it's called the Wilford. I don't know. I could post it somewhere after, but it's a blazer that fits on every single one of my clients. And what I love about a blazer is you could wear it from day to night. You could dress up or down, a t-shirt underneath, a camisole, anything, and you just look put together so effortlessly. So I guess what I would say is, I would come in and I would tell women, just pick a few really good things that fit you well and invest in them. And just a few pieces, the right jean, the right blazer, one or two t-shirts, and then mix and match everything over and over. But do not be intimidated to start over, because that's what I do for anyone anyways. And we just want to get you the right pieces for your body at that point.
Absolutely. So can you give us, so that's great advice
Those-
and a relief. It's a relief. um, can you give us a couple of examples? You started with blazers,
Right.
but a couple of examples of things that are more likely to either distract from a flat or unilateral chest or to distract from a little bit of bloating, abdominal bloating.
I mean, I guess layering is key. So again, with like a blazer, because that will, okay, or a t-shirt and then like a nice loose cardigan. Looser options are always great. And that's also very on trend right now, especially for example, if you're wearing like a straight pant or jean, if you have a looser top, like I'm wearing a button down right now, a cardigan, or like a button up blouse, like with a straight jean that's a little bit on the looser side that could go for different body types and changes and more flexibility. Um, yeah, I guess I guess that would be my advice, layering and looser pieces, if that makes sense.
Amazing. So you mentioned two things that were questions. So one of them was about jeans, so or pants. Other, can you recommend something for people who don't necessarily have the flattest belly in terms of jeans? And then somebody said for work, they actually need fitted blazers. I got the impression they might be they might be in court in the legal field, and they need to dress very conservatively. So what would your advice be there?
So two questions. So if you have a belly, sometimes jeans can be very uncomfortable. So I totally understand that, especially high-waisted jeans. So right now it's very in, and like silk pants are so comfortable and easy to throw on. Reformation makes a great pair. Vince is amazing, and they're an elastic waistband, so you could throw over like an oversized sweater on top, like a cashmere in the winter, or a button down, or a cardigan in the summer, and wear it. Again, I'm telling you, all my styling tips are things that could go from summer to fall, from winter to like to mix and match, day to night, work to, with a few exceptions, obviously. But so I would say pants with a drawstring or elastic. Another type of pant, like in this now they're into summer, like linen pants are very easy and comfortable now. You could find them at Zara, H&M, Neely Lotan, all types of price points. And again, you could dress them up or down. So that would be instead of a jean alternative. I think that's what you asked me.
Yes.
And what was your other question? Oh, about
Fitted,
fitted blazers?
yeah, for someone who needs to dress conservatively.
So first of all, the blazer that I had in mind, again, from Aritzia, is not fitted. It just, I'm saying it's an in between because it's a really great fit. But
And by the way, somebody put the link to it in the chat box if anybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just, I'm forgetting the name, but I could get it and I'll send it out on Shara's email or something.
Wilford Blazer.
The Wilford blazer, the great blazer. But if you're gonna wear a fitted blazer on, if you're gonna wear a fitted, it's sold. No, I'll send it. I have it, but there's for sure more of them. If you're gonna wear a fitted blazer, which I don't love, but if you have to, then I would suggest that the pant be a little bit looser. So my general rule is if you're gonna do a fitted jean, like skinny jeans are out right now, which is hard for a lot of people. But you could still do like a straight, Mother makes a great pair of like a stretchy jean. Then the top should be a little bit looser. So if you're gonna wear a fitted blazer, I would suggest the bottom being a little bit of a looser trouser, a silk pant, a trouser jean, just so the proportion looks right. Tight and tight is not the right way to go generally.
Thank you for that. Linda, okay, so a couple of questions have come up about lymphedema, and I'm going to try and combine them. So one is like, how does lymphedema impact the type of bra I need? And also, what other things do I need if I'm either at risk or have lymphedema after surgery?
It's a very good question. It's very interesting. One of the first things I ask is, how many nodes did you have out? Are you having radiation? Are you traveling? I find, since I've been doing this for so many years, that a lot of women tend to get lymphedema post-radiation. And that can change the form of the breast as well. Like I said, it can really give you asymmetrical breasts if you've had a lumpectomy. With lymphedema, and people fall through the cracks. You shouldn't have blood pressure taken in that arm. You shouldn't have blood draw in that arm. You shouldn't have manicures where they're going to cut cuticles in that arm. If you're doing gardening, I would definitely wear long sleeves. I have really paper thin skin, and if I'm doing gardening and a bougainvillea scratches me, that can cause an infection. So you have to kind of really take care of, but just be self-conscious. And, especially like the blood pressure and shots or anything. I had a woman come back from England, her arm blew up. Nobody told her about flying with a sleeve or having her COVID shot in that arm. So those are things that should be in your medical chart. I generally put everybody in a 20 to 30. I use Juzo. I love them the best.
What does
They're
that
all
mean, 20 to 30? Can you explain that?
millimeters, micromillimeters.
Pressure, it's the type
Mercury and
amount of pressure.
So if you're on a plane, I mean, you've all heard about DVTs, to wear compression hose to get up and walk. Well, it's the same thing with lymphedema in the arm. Kind of if you're on a long trip, to kind of have your arm, if you can hold it like this, or kind of give yourself some mild massaging. Lymphedema, the sleeves and gauntlets and gloves come in colors now, and prints. There's so many prints. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be medical looking. And that's what I would
Yeah.
suggest. So they're great arm sleeves. But I have something for Sonia, and I want to show the ladies. This is my lady, and she is a face framer. And whoops, she doesn't have the top of the head. This is so much cooler than a wig, and it comes in a lot of styles and a lot of colors. And you can get them if you can find a boutique that works with breast cancer patients. This is great. And I can see one of Sonia's wraps on this and have it displayed in my shop. And just to give women an idea, this is
another right.
And the other thing is the bangs are Velcro, so you don't have to have a bang.
And by the way, cancer or not, how many women would love to be able to choose between bangs and no bangs from day to day?
Exactly. So you know what? You never have a bad hair day now.
There you go.
And you have your little hat, and this, has. So I do a lot of it. I do compression, and I do hair alternatives, and
That's
these things
amazing.
are important. And again, it's like looking good and feeling better. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay. Sonia, can you actually share some of your best practices for scalp care?
Sure. So one thing that I want to highlight, and it kind of goes back to the last question you asked me about how to continue doing these things as we're going through hair regrowth. This process takes a really long time, from the point that your hair starts to fall out to when you're back at like a full head of hair. And so this kind of spans different seasons of the year. And with each season, there's different things that we recommend. So now that we're kind of getting ready to come up on the warmer months, I definitely recommend, whether you have a beautiful baldy or your hair is growing back and you have you either to protect your face, which you should always be doing, and up to your hairline if your hair is growing back, or if you have a bald head, then you want to go on the full surface of your head with at least SPF 30 sunscreen. This is really important because we go through something called chemotherapy-induced photosensitivity, where our skin is much more susceptible to sunburns and damage because of the treatment and the drugs in our system. And your scalp is obviously the first point that's going to touch the sun. So be very mindful of that, especially if you're wearing a head wrap or a headscarf. Just have a little bit of like a mineral SPF under there before you step outside. Other than that, you might also want to consider wearing something that's like a SPF or UV protective head covering. We make an entire activewear line that has UV50 protection, as well as aloe vera microcapsules in the fabric that can hydrate your scalp as you are kind of out and about all day. I'm trying to dig around here. I have like a million headpieces, but this is kind of one of my favorite ones. It has a little bit of like a little cheetah happening, and it's fun and can be dressed up. It can be like dressed up into something pretty chic. But it's a really good way to ensure that your skin is protected, and that, I always like to say your scalp, while your head is bald, it's not bald. It's just a canvas for healthy hair regrowth, and you just have to maintain it that way. So just make sure it's protected from the sun. Also, beyond the UV protective headpieces, you can also look at pieces that are soft or breathable, or even sheer pieces that might be perfect for the upcoming months. And then also just always make sure to clean your scalp properly. So make sure you use a gentle soap, and you work through your scalp after a long day out. Use warm water at most. Don't use hot water on your scalp. And after you're done showering, just use a gentle microfiber towel to clean off any excess water. And then think about, maybe putting some kind of like a aloe vera based lotion on, just to keep your scalp cool and hydrated during the hotter months as well. Yeah, those are kind of my best tips. And then also,
Yes.
yeah, just use it as a time to experiment with your style. Just channel a little bit of joy into what you're wearing, and just kind of try to manifest through your wardrobe the state of mind that you want to be in. Summer is a perfect opportunity for that, with colors and patterns, and just think about that as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to try and get one more question in for everybody. Adina, one of the things that that happens as you're going through the cancer experience is that your body is actually not just going from point A to point B, but sometimes it's A to B to C to D to E, and reconstruction can take a long time, or there's a problem with reconstruction, or you've changed your mind, or a new drug makes you gain or lose. So there's a lot of changing going on in a relatively short amount of time, within a few years. So how does one build a wardrobe and find comfortable clothing during these transition times without wasting a ton of money?
Right. So I might be a little repetitive, but then I'm back to finding looser fitting things that could transit, that still on trend, that will last you for like different stages. So again, like
Okay.
button downs are very on trend right now, easy to put on. And if it fits a little looser, a little tighter, you're good with both, right? With either size.
Right.
Again, pants with like more of an elastic waist, maybe a cardigan, just pieces that are more layering and easier to throw on, that are okay to be a little bit tighter, a little looser. I don't know if that helps with that. I'm not really,
No, I think that's actually
but
great advice.
basically what it would be.
Okay, amazing. Okay, Linda, what if somebody isn't lucky enough to have a boutique like yours? We have people from around the country and maybe even beyond on tonight's webinar. If somebody isn't lucky enough to be able to find a boutique like the one you run, what are your suggestions for both fitting but also getting resources? Are there places online that you think are particularly helpful? Things like that.
One of the companies I really like is called Amona,
Uh-huh.
and they have been in business for a gazillion years, and they come from Europe, and their bras are really true to size. I basically only carry their prosthesis. They're the ones that came out with the prosthesis that you can pump with air.
Uh-huh.
Amazon is a great resource. You know what? You don't
Really?
have to spend a fortune on head coverings. You can, get stuff on Amazon. If it doesn't work out, it's easy to return. You're not spending a fortune on bras. And if you can go on to a couple of the mastectomy websites. Land's End has some great mastectomy bathing suits. They're also carried on Amazon. I hate to, from
You know,
the
I think what we're
process.
going to try and do is get a list of resources from each of you over the next
Yeah.
couple of days, and we'll include it in the follow-up email. Okay. Last question goes to Sonia. Does wearing something on my head help with the discomfort on my scalp as my hair falls out and even as it grows back? We don't expect hair to like falling out to be uncomfortable, but it really is, and sometimes painful. So does having that compression of some sort on our heads help with that discomfort?
Yeah, I think everyone's journey is really personal. So um, I think you should definitely cover your head with something gentle if you do want to cover your head at that time. I would suggest maybe holding off on wearing wig caps and wigs and doing something that will be too irritating to your scalp, because going through hair loss, your follicles are really sensitive and it can cause side effects ranging from a migraine to a bruised sensation, which I know I went through just the gamut with the hair loss. So I would say have a couple of different pieces ready to go, just to see what works for you at what time. I really love our satin headpieces that are perfect for traveling around or for sitting, at treatment or just lounging at home. They're so silky and soft, and they look great. You can also wear something that's a little bit more on the plush side. When you go through your hair loss, your body is also experiencing a lot of change. The temperature regulation in your body is going through a lot, and so you will find yourself getting very cold very suddenly at times. And so have maybe something a little thicker, a little more plush ready to go. And then of course, wrapping, as you said, the compression, again, it really depends. I think it can potentially relieve your symptoms. If you're having like a migraine, for example, I think it can certainly help. For me, I tried a number of different things, and from personal experience, what helped me the most is actually shaving my head and then wrapping it,
Oh,
and keeping it cozy. The thing is, when your hair is falling out, the hair is kind of pulling as it falls out. So shaving it down kind of gave me that relief, that instant relief. And then I just kind of went from there doing my head coverings and styling myself in different ways and dressing for temperature and environment and all that. And that was it was a little easier from that point on for
yeah,
me.
amazing. And I'm loving, like, with as each of you spoke, people who are on the webinar are putting things into the chat box that have helped them. It's wonderful. Listen, as we conclude, I'm going to remove some spotlights. As we conclude, oh, there we go. I want to thank Daiichi Sankyo and Merck for their generous support. And of course, I want to thank many, many, many thanks to Linda, to Sonia, to Adina for providing guidance and much needed expertise as we adjust to the changes in our bodies. I know I feel more ready to go into the summer season after this. Please take a moment to click the evaluation link in the chat box right now. It will take just a moment and you'll be able to continue listening to the webinar as you complete the evaluation. I want to remind you that Sharsheret is here for you. Our social workers are available to answer questions, provide support, connect you to resources, and you can reach out to our social workers through the email address in the chat box. It's just clinicalstaff@sharsheret.org, but it'll go into the chat box. And because of your interest in this particular program, this particular webinar, I want to make you aware of another upcoming program. On Wednesday, May 29th, Sharsheret will be hosting a webinar entitled Navigating Hair Loss and Other Body Image Changes During Cancer Care, Essential Tips for Cancer Survivors. You can register for this webinar by clicking in the link in the chat box now, but you will also receive an email about it in the coming days. We're going to put that webinar, the evaluation link in the survey one more time, in the chat box one more time, and please be on the lookout for a follow-up webinar, a follow-up email that will include the transcript of tonight as well as the recording and some resources from each of our speakers. Thank you again for joining us and have a wonderful evening. Good night.